Vanessa and Greg are a husband and wife team who have worked with thousands of people to transform their bodies, minds, and habits through fitness and nutrition. From building muscle to losing weight to improving your relationship with food, they bring real-world strategies that actually work. We'll cover the do's and don'ts for getting results, nutrition tips, and why training your mind is just as important as training your body. Now, let's get into the zone with Vanessa and Greg. Vanessa, Greg, great to see you. Thanks for coming on. You're both nutrition and fitness experts who've helped thousands of people with muscle gain, weight loss, body composition, mindset, and building a better relationship with food. I want to start with you two for a second, though. I want to get into some specifics around health and nutrition stuff, but really I'm interested in you two as well. Like, you're a husband and wife team. I recently had a husband and wife team on who were both magicians. So this husband and wife theme is like really coming in strong. I love it. I wondered about sort of your personal journey, how you got to this place, and why fitness, nutrition, and health is so important for you both.
Yes. So we're kind of going way back. I actually went to school and was practicing as a chartered accountant for 6-7 years. And Greg was a signal maintainer for the railway. And then our personal lives were really like intertwined with health and fitness and things like that. I was competing in weightlifting. Greg was dabbling in a bunch of different sports. So we started learning more about nutrition to kind of like help ourselves with our sports. And then initially it started kind of like as a means to find a way to work remotely, because we loved traveling. We wanted to travel. We wanted to potentially, live somewhere else in our lives. So we were kind of like looking for ways to do that. And nutrition coaching was an option. We're like, that is perfect since it's something that we already love. So we started working for another company for what, like
4 years?
4 years or something like that. And then kind of got to a point where we recognized like people weren't struggling with just like nutrition knowledge, right? Like most people have a pretty good understanding of the types of things they need to do, like eat more vegetables, have some protein, all those things. But people's challenges were actually like bridging that gap between knowing what to do and actually being able to implement it in their lives. So that's when we're like, hey, why don't we go like a bit of a different direction in coaching and kind of focus on like the mindset and health behavior change aspect of it in combination to obviously like the nutrition and fitness side of things. And that's when Evolve to Excel was born.
That's a pretty good explanation.
Thank you.
So could you talk a little more maybe about the mindset thing and how you zero in on that? I see you have some really great like Instagram posts about mindset. And one of the things I really love about the content that you make is that you're not saying like, hey, never eat a cookie again for the rest of your life. You're kind of preaching a different kind of way to like handle fitness and health. And I wondered if you could get into the mindset a little more.
Well, it's basically like Vanessa was saying, through working with hundreds of people at the time, we recognized like knowledge is not the problem. Like we continue to work with people who knew all of the same knowledge that we had as far as what we should or shouldn't do or what's going to move them closer towards their goals. It's like they just weren't doing it. And we were just like, at that point in our careers, we were like pulling our hair out, like, why aren't they just following through with what they know? Why aren't they?
How do we help these people?
How do I help these people? And then that is what led us down the path of learning about something called behavior change and like understanding how we can actually evidence-based ways to approach changing people's behaviors. And through that focus and through that lens with our coaching now, we're able to get drastically better results with our clients, and they actually know how to maintain those results long term because they know when they're feeling not a lot of motivation, they know what to do. They know how to become a more disciplined person. They know how to modify their goals when life goes crazy. And when you have those tools, you're going to be more successful with basically any goal that you're working towards, especially stuff related to health and fitness. With the mindset side of things, it's so common when people are tackling their health and fitness goals that they go all in and all out, and that they expect absolute perfection from day one. And that, so obviously all or nothing mindset is a huge thing, but also fixed mindset, this idea that we're supposed to be born with these skills and that we're not supposed to struggle. And if I am struggling with my diet, if I am struggling with my fitness, that means something's wrong with me. So by tackling the mindset side of things too, we're able to, for lack of better words, help our clients get out of their own way, help them get out of their own head and actually apply the stuff that they know.
Yeah. And I think it really starts with like helping them build some awareness right now around the obstacles that they're facing, because a lot of people don't recognize like some of these beliefs that they've kind of been living by for years and years and years have been impacting the way that they are showing up and like the behaviors that they're choosing. So we really kind of get down to that, like root of, where did this idea even come from? And is it something that you even want to opt into anymore? Because we have the power to kind of, change our beliefs with time.
Mindfulness that those things exist, and then also helping them realize that it's not fact. It's just like a belief that we're holding on to.
Yeah, being mindful and like not being in autopilot all the time. Like sometimes I catch myself when you're in autopilot and I'll just, grab the snack or grab the thing or whatever, the easy, quick fix that's really just available and accessible. And if you can sort of pause and like be mindful of what you're doing, as opposed to just being locked into that autopilot mode, I find it's particularly helpful. But one thing that I've struggled with is like consistency. And I'm sure a lot of people and a lot of your clients have the same similar challenge. Like I'll get into like these ebbs and flows where I'll work out consistently. I'll like eat right. I'll do all the right things for like 2-3 weeks. And then I get busy or I'm tired or I forget or whatever. And, you sort of fall off the wagon. And then once you're off, you're kind of like, well, I'll have another cookie. Like, what's the big deal, right? I'll just get a pizza tonight. Like, how do you advise clients around this idea of like staying consistent, but also being realistic? Because it's like, no one's going to not have ice cream forever. Right. So like, how do you build habits that are sustainable, but also realistic in your clients?
I mean, it's important first to like examine your definition of consistency, because most people think consistent means perfect.
Yeah.
And it's
I think it's like building this unbreakable streak, and maybe like Apple Watches and things like that don't help us with this, because it's like, I want to keep that streak going.
Yeah.
But when you like, it's really when you zoom out and you're looking at like the course of the year, we're not expecting to see like your circles all done every single day. It's more of, the frequency in which you are engaging in those habits. So something that a skill that we teach all of our clients is cognitive flexibility. And that is essentially being able to adjust your thoughts to help you take action in a way that supports your long-term goals, depending on like when, the circumstances are changing. So for your example there, like life gets busy. We help our clients like, okay, well, when life is busy, how can we modify our goals? Whether you're modifying like the intensity in which you're working out or the frequency or the duration of your workouts, how can we just show up in some way? Because like you were saying, people kind of get stuck in that, like, I'm either all in or I'm all out. And we help them operate in that middle ground, in that gray area. Because like you said, like life is not about not having a cookie or not having ice cream. Like we want to enjoy those things, but we want to do it in a way that supports our long-term goals and like actually feels good.
Yeah. And then that's where, again, the mindset thing comes into play, because you might listen to this, or someone else might be listening to this right now, and their brain is screaming at them like, wrong, wrong, wrong. Like, don't do that. Like, that's not perfect. That's not good enough. It's like, okay, that's a prime example of like how damn important our mindset is into making sure that we're able to stick with this long term. And you said, again, that you get busy and then stuff throws you off. The number one reason why people get thrown off of their groove is from distress. So life busyness, work busyness, they get sick, they get injured, some sort of distress in their life. So, okay, how can I continue to show up, not to be perfect, not even in pursuit of goals? It's like, how can I continue to show up when life is imperfect so I feel my best? And like looking it through that lens, it's like, it's not about checking off boxes. It's not about anything arbitrary like that. It's like, we want to feel good. How can we continue to show up even when life is crazy so we still feel good?
For me, it's like sometimes I'll notice I'm really not motivated to go to the gym. But if I can just like get my shoes on and like force my butt. And the thing is, my gym is in my building, so I really have no excuse. And so like if I can just like get into the room, I'll feel so much better after, even if I only do like 30 minutes of cardio or something. Like just physically going there is such a hurdle sometimes, but I always know that I'm going to feel better after. Do you find that that's the case with a lot of people?
Motivation is very nuanced,
Yeah.
right? We could talk about that for like this entire podcast, just literally just the topic of motivation. But what you're saying, okay, first off, I think it's very helpful to change our perspective of motivation, because especially around health and fitness, people feel like it's something either you have or you don't have, or it's like, oh, I'm just not feeling motivated right now, therefore I shouldn't or I can't show up and do that thing. Where it's really about how can we redirect our motivation to be in support of what we want to do. And I think it's very valuable and helpful to have a new perspective of motivation, that it's always at 100. Our motivation is always set to 100. There's no ups or downs. The question is, what are we motivated to do or not do? If you are not feeling very motivated to go to the gym, maybe you feel very motivated to stay on the couch because you're comfortable and because you want some rest and you want some relaxation. You've had a really long day, right? Motivation's always at 100. The question is, how do we redirect it? And one of the tools that we use, which I think would be very applicable for you based off of what you said, one of the tools that we use is a behavior change tool called future self thinking, where it's basically you take a second to think a little deeper. How are my current actions or inactions going to make me feel later? So with you trying to motivate yourself to get to the gym, right? You're not feeling motivated. Okay, how do we redirect our motivation to be in support of going to the gym? Stop and think for a second. How am I going to feel immediately after my workout?
And that was something you said. You're like, I know I'm going to feel so much better after. And that may be the thing that kind of like gets your butt off and the couch and go to the gym.
How am I going to feel after that workout? How am I going to feel if I don't do that workout? And the stronger you try to empathize with that future self, future you, the more likely you are going to follow through with the action that's going to lead you to feel your best and avoid the action that's going to make you feel worse.
And the thing is with that was, shoot, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, as humans, we act on the things that are going to give us like that immediate gratification more, right? So of course, in that moment, sitting on the couch is going to win like 3 check marks because I am already doing it. It's giving me positive feelings. Why would I want to change that? So by using future self-thinking, you're trying to make those future consequences, whether they're positive or negative, seem more immediate now. So you're thinking like, how am I going to feel later? Oh, I'm starting to feel that. Okay, like let's go act on it, because it's very hard for us as humans to act on that future benefit of something. So we want to think about it now to help us start feeling it and then be able to act on it a little bit easier.
Exactly.
Yeah, shifting that idea of what motivation is a really interesting way to go about it, because I think that would be applicable too to like diet stuff. Like if you aren't motivated necessarily to cook a really healthy meal, but then you can do that future self-thinking exercise and go, well, maybe future me would feel better if I don't have, fast food today or whatever, right? And so that same sort of thing sort of applies, it sounds like, across multiple disciplines.
Yes. And then kind of like to go back to the consistency piece there, using that example, it's like, okay, my options right now, I'm thinking like Uber Eats because I'm exhausted and I don't feel like cooking. I use some future self thinking and I'm like, well, shit, I would probably feel better if I had a home cooked meal. And then it's like, well, what is the middle move here? Okay. And maybe that's going to pick up like a pre-roasted rotisserie chicken with a bag salad and, some bread or some rice or whatever it may be. And like, boom, you have something that's in the middle. You're not like forcing yourself to cook when you have no mental energy or capacity to. You are not going YOLO and just going for the Uber Eats, but you're finding that middle ground option where it's like, I can still put together a pretty balanced meal with limited mental energy and capacity, and it's still going to taste good. Like, sign me up.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we help our clients do, is like get rid of those extremes and like let's look at all of the options we have in the middle, because those are the options that people dismiss like all of the time.
Yeah, get rid of the extremes and the rules.
Yeah.
Right? Diet culture is just so full of rules. You open up your Instagram, if you're someone who follows health and fitness stuff, it's like every other day the toxic thing that's going to kill you changes. You know what I mean? It's like, it's all these arbitrary BS, useless rules that all they do is muddy the water and make people fear food more and more and make their relationship with food worse. Where really we're helping our clients build more mindfulness and focus on like what makes me feel good. And there's no rules
You
with
just
that.
like autonomy. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
decide.
There's no rules with that because
No.
what's going to make me feel good might change from one meal or one day to the next. But when we have a really strong connection with that, you're going to follow through with the things that lead you to feel your best more consistently.
What are some of those myths? Because you said it right. Like there's constantly new information coming at us, Instagram and various other channels. It's like sometimes it's hard to know what to believe. There's a new fad, there's a new thing. Now there's Ozempic, now there's this, now there's that. It's like, how do you sort of differentiate what is truth and what is right for you? And what is your take on some of these diet fads like Ozempic? And to me, I mean, I'm not an expert by any stretch, but it feels like uh, anything personally, it feels like anything that could be resolved with diet and exercise, I would rather do that than take some kind of drug. Now, I know that's not the case for everyone, and everyone's different, and everyone has their own thing. And I'm not judging anyone or saying, don't listen to your doctor or whatever. But to me, I'm like, I would rather go do it the maybe harder way by avoiding these kinds of fads and just doing the standard healthy diet and exercise stuff. Is that a take that you agree with, or am I way off the rails?
Let's start with just the fads.
Yeah, I think there's
first.
like maybe two different conversations within that. So like
Sure.
the fads, when we're talking about like keto or intermittent fasting or
If you see anything that's selling you an extreme,
yeah,
you can basically
you can
immediately write
immediately
it
write
off.
it off. Yeah, like
You
or
can't eat this food group.
yeah,
Only eat this food group. This is toxic for you. Or if you're watching something, it's like when you have the eye for this, you can see it all the time in social media where it's a fearful, don't do this thing. And then right at the end, they're selling you on a product. It's like
Right.
I'm sitting there I'm watching the video, I'm just waiting. I'm like, where's the pitch? Where's the pitch? When
it's
you
either like a book or a supplement or
or
like whatever it may be.
whatever.
But I would say like a general red flag is anyone who's speaking in like absolutes,
Yes.
because nutrition and fitness is so freaking nuanced. Like Greg was saying, even from one day to the next, your choices, could be different. But obviously from one person to the next, it is very individualized. So
What are your goals? Where are you at right now? What's your health status? What direction are we trying to go? What are your preferences? Like all of these things need to be taken into consideration. And that
yeah.
and why people often gravitate towards these fads and these extremes is because they're so simple to understand. It's so simple, but nutrition isn't that simple. It is nuanced, but it also isn't that complicated at the same time. You know what I mean? Because there aren't that many rules, it gives us so many more individualized options to make it more enjoyable for us on an individual level. But
yeah, but essentially like those rules just help us not have to use our brain power, right? It's so much easier to say, this is good, that's bad. This is right, this is wrong. But most of it, like we said, is like in that messy middle, right? Where it's in the gray zone. So you have to use a little bit of brain power and kind of learn those psychological skills, like we were saying, in order to kind of like crack the code, if you will, of nutrition and fitness and be able to stick with it long term.
yeah.
Then yeah, and I would just say like there are no bad foods, just flat out. There is nothing that anyone needs to avoid unless you are obviously allergic to something or have some pre-existing health concerns. But for the average healthy person, there are no foods that anyone needs to avoid. And what really makes a healthy diet has a lot more to do with the foods that people are not eating enough of.
Not the foods that they are eating.
Not the foods that they are eating.
Yeah.
So someone doesn't have an unhealthy diet because they're eating McDonald's or candy or chips. It's likely because they're not getting enough fruit, vegetables, fiber, or protein.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way more accurate way of having a more accurate perspective of what is and isn't healthy. It's like there is no such thing as good food. There's no such thing as bad food, but there is absolutely such thing as a balanced or unbalanced diet. And most of the time, like she said, like Vanessa said, it has a lot more to do with what's missing from the diet and not what's in there.
I really like how you're framing it this way. You sort of seem to live in this gray space, which is probably the healthier way to operate, right? Where it's like, you're going to have the candy in the McDonald's sometimes, but as long as you're balancing that with, a healthy diet and maintaining sort of a degree of consistency with how you're eating, the kinds of things you're eating, like you mentioned, fiber and fruits and vegetables and all these protein, and all these healthy things. It's like, it's okay sometimes to like have a little snack or have a little treat or whatever. because you're going to anyway, right? Most people.
Yes.
So, you don't have to villainize yourself for that. And I think how you look at yourself will also play a big part of that. It's like, how are you seeing yourself and how are you talking to yourself? I feel like self-talk is such an important thing too.
Totally.
But I do want to just touch on the other piece of that with like the weight loss trends and things like that. What is your take on that? Because a lot of people in my life have tried to lose weight or have yo-yoed between being heavy and being thin. And I hear this thing that it's just calories in, calories out. I wonder if you think that's true, or like if I have 1,200 calories a day, for example, and they're all gummy bears, and then I have 1,200 calories a day and it's healthier food. Does it matter if my only goal is to lose weight?
If
No.
your only goal is to lose weight, absolutely not.
No.
If it is very much so calories in, calories out. However, that is oversimplified, of course, because there's so many things that impact, our appetites, our availability to food, safe space to, walk and exercise and things like that. But when it comes down to it, yes, if you are eating in a calorie deficit or a negative energy balance, you will lose weight. Doesn't matter if you're eating gummy bears, McDonald's, whatever it may be.
And people have done this.
Yeah,
people have gone on like only McDonald's diets and ate like 1,500 calories a day on only McDonald's diet, and the weight is flying off of them.
Yeah.
The difference is the person who's eating 1,500 calories worth of gummy bears versus someone who's eating 1,500 calories worth of fruit, veggie, chicken, some eggs, and bread is the person on the gummy bears is going to be absolutely starving and way more likely to overeat later.
We'll also have nutritional
differences. I'm ignoring that part.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what really matters. But the calories in, calories out is 100% accurate, but it's so oversimplified, right? Because it's not taking into consideration satiety. It's not taking into consideration our relationship with food, the challenges that people run into with consistency. That's the real problem that we have to solve. I also want to touch on the Ozempic thing because we didn't get a chance to touch on that too. GLP-1s are the most effective weight loss tool, period.
Sorry, could you just explain GLP-1s?
Yeah, GLP-1s is the class of drugs that are right now very popular. Ozempic, WeGovy, etc. So they're drugs that people take that downregulate their appetite, help them manage cravings better, and basically when people are on these drugs, they organically start to consume less food and therefore are more successful with making changes to their diet and reducing calories.
It is really helpful for those who struggle with obesity and people who struggle a lot with food noise. So it's like they are constantly thinking about food. Even after eating a meal, food is still on their mind. We have worked with some clients who have been using a GLP-1 medication in combination with working with us for one-on-one coaching. And what I have noticed is that they have a much easier time implementing the tools and skills that we're working on together because they have the support of the medication. And I don't think this is a medication that everyone should be taking. Absolutely not. But there are people who are, obese or very overweight or who really struggle with this food noise that it has, changed their lives, where it's like they can actually think clearly now. They can actually use the tools and the strategies that we're working on together because they don't feel this like constant chatter in their heads.
Yeah. And you'll see a lot of negative, reporting views of Ozempic and whatnot online. And it's mostly from very uneducated people or people who feel threatened by it. People in our industry like us who feel threatened by it and go, no, don't do that. Work with me instead. Where it's like, it can be both, where you're using that medication to your benefit to more rapidly drop weight. Because again, these are medications that most of the time are being used by people who are obese or morbidly obese, right?
And like for them, losing weight in which any way is going to have a massive improvement on their overall health.
Huge improvement on their health, like very rapidly. So
sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, we have worked with clients, like I said, who are actively working on, changing their behaviors and building a healthier lifestyle in combination with using this medication. However, we've had some friends too who have taken this medication but are not trying to change their habits at all. So they're still eating the same as they always were, but they're just eating less because they get fuller quicker and things like that. So for them, yes, they will still see weight loss progress, but they will not, develop those healthy habits or necessarily like those healthy changes to their eating habits if they're just using the medication without making any changes to their lifestyle.
Yeah. And like Vanessa was talking about before with the food noise, that this is something that we hear time and time again with our clients who use GLP-1s. It's not something that most people who have a healthy relationship with food can really empathize with. Like people who struggle with obesity, struggle with morbid obesity, like they are constantly thinking about food. And it's not in like they're undisciplined kind of way or something like that. It's like their brain is constantly on food. Like Vanessa said, they finish a meal, they're thinking about food again. And what these medications can do is like it can just quiet that noise so they can focus on the next thing. Because it's very easy for people like us who have a healthy relationship with food and haven't gone through these struggles to point at someone like that and go, you're just not being disciplined. You need to do it like how I do it. And it's like, we're not in the same shoes as these people. So I'm very pro for these medications when appropriate and obviously prescribed by a doctor.
Yeah, that's a really good take. And I think part of it for me is like not coming from that place that you're describing. Like I've never had that kind of relationship with food. And so I don't understand it probably in the way that you're describing and in the way that those people experience it. And so I do see the value there of like using it as a tool in your toolkit as part of a bigger group of tools. I think you're very right around like having to still build those mindsets and habits and just other things around that to support that, to inevitably, hopefully get off that at some point and just like have the healthy habits take over. One thing that I did, and I wonder if you've ever done this with your community of clients, but one thing that I did with my buddies was we would have a little fitness sort of challenges that we would do with each other. We had like this list that we built, and it was like, okay, it was like a Google sheet, and you'd be like, okay, everyone has to do 5 minutes of push-ups, 5 minutes of sit-ups, and it wasn't like the number. Like we weren't competing like I did 52 push-ups today and you did 53. It was more like however many you can do in 5 minutes, you just have to show up for those 5 minutes and do them. Mm-hmm. And if you did that, you get a little tick and then you get like a point. And if you eat, if you ate healthy or whatever, you get a point. And if you meditated for 5 minutes, you get a point. And so we did all these things and it sort of gamified fitness and health. And it was fun. We thought it would be, we didn't end up doing this, but we thought it would be fun to like do some sort of punishment at the end for the loser. Like they have to, do push-ups at the bar or whatever. But do you think that gamifying fitness or sort of having accountability partners, because that's really what it was at the end of the day, it was just like having accountability and being able to sort of tease each other in the way guys do, where it's like, I'm beating you. And, and having that sort of motivation, competitive edge. Is that ever part of your program? Do you ever, have clients work together in that way or build a community in that sort of way? Or is it more individualized?
We're always bullying our clients. No,
no. So we work with our clients one-on-one, but we do have a community WhatsApp group where we can kind of like share wins, talk about challenges, just build a bit of a community there. But I think there's like two pieces to what you're doing. First is gamifying it, right? And just like making it fun. And there's a lot of different strategies that can help motivate us to take action that are not necessarily great motivators for long term, but they are great motivators to get started. So gamifying, having like a little reward, like, oh, I'm going to walk, but I'm going to walk to Starbucks and then I'm going to grab myself my favorite latte and then I'm going to go back home. Those are all great ways to get started with certain behaviors, but not necessarily the best for maintaining those behaviors long term. But that's a great way to start and then work on building more intrinsic motivation as a means to maintain it going forward. Then the other thing you're saying is like the accountability piece, and support when you are making health and fitness changes is so freaking important. Whether that support is through your friends and you're having like a little challenge like that, whether it is working one-on-one with a coach, whether it's having a supportive partner at home, that can really make the difference with someone maintaining their health behavior changes.
Yeah. And I think we can probably use your example, it's like how many of those people doing that are still doing those behaviors?
Yeah, we've all fallen off the rails, but
Well,
I will
there-
say,
there
but
we go.
I will say we did it for like 90 days. That was our goal to do it for,
Yeah,
I
that's
think,
cool.
90 days. And we did hit the 90 days. And then we did it again one other time, I think. But it had tremendous health impacts for some of the people, well, for all of us really who were doing it, even just in the sense of like the competitiveness around, trying to get more points. But that translated into weight loss, into healthier choices. And I agree, it's not like a long-term solution, and you still have to like do the work of building those habits intrinsically, like you're talking about. But for us, it was a fun way to get the ball rolling.
Totally.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great way to do it. And like you said, having that accountability, having other people kind of like, oh, waiting, like, is Mike going to do it today or what? That entices you to take action.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times there was, because it was a Google sheet, so we could all see what people had done that day. And I can't tell you how many times like I had done nothing all day, and then I saw like my buddies had like done all the ticks, and I was like, "Damn it, okay." And then so at the end of the day, I'm just like doing push-ups and stuff,
Yeah,
and it's like I
oh.
would never have done that. Like it's not, I know it's not ideal, but I would never have done that, if I was just on my own. And then
Yeah.
once you're in that sort of rhythm, it's like it kind of gets a little addicting. It's like you start to enjoy doing the, you know, getting the pump and then doing all the stuff,
Yeah, and
Um,
that's where like the intrinsic motivation piece comes in. It's like when you notice, like, oh, I'm actually feeling better. Oh, I actually like doing this like push-up challenge to see how many I can do in 5 minutes. I like challenging myself. Then those are much stronger motivators to continue to keep going long after like the friendly challenge.
Exactly. Like if you did that same thing with your group of friends and you added like one extra thing where it's like, after I do each one of these things, I take 10 seconds to think about how I felt afterwards. That simple change would probably increase the chances of some of these guys would continue with it long term.
Yeah.
Because we're switching from mainly extrinsic motivation of checking off a box and competing with my friends to more intrinsic motivation. I'm doing this because it makes me feel good.
Next time we do the challenge, we will include
Yeah,
that part.
totally.
What do you make of this protein? I don't know if it's like because you guys are in Spain, but I don't know, in Canada at least, I'm seeing this sweeping changes lately around like protein coffee, protein chips, protein ice cream, proteins in everything. Starbucks has protein drinks now. It's like, is this another one of these fads that's just sort of overblown? Like, how much protein do we actually need? Is it like important that we have protein in our coffee every morning? Like, how big of or is this just sort of
I think
a sales
okay, firstly, I
tactic?
saw like the protein coffees at Tim Hortons, like a ad. I actually have my VPN to Canada, so I get like a lot of Canadian ads.
Amazing.
But when I saw that, I was like, wait, what? Like, am I seeing this right? Because I was thinking
It's
like
getting
Tim Hortons would be like the last place to do something like that. But
It's getting a second wave though, because this happened a couple years
Yeah, it
ago
happened a
too.
while
Then
ago.
this year, it's like again, it's everything's
yeah.
high protein.
So is it overhyped? Yes.
Yeah, it's overhyped.
That being said, for the majority of people, I'll call like just, everyday people who are not super into health and fitness or paying attention to their choices, it probably helps to get a little protein in through your coffee and here and there. If it's not impacting your enjoyment of that food, why not?
The average person's not consuming enough protein.
Yes.
Period.
So, yeah,
End of
the
story.
average person is likely not. So for them, cool. Like, if that's like an easy way to sneak in some protein, great. For everyone else who like is getting enough protein through, animal protein sources or just other protein sources, yeah, you don't need to proteinify everything. I personally, like, if again, this is like kind of where the nuance comes in, where it's like, have I had enough protein today? Do I need to have some more protein? Is there an easy way for me to get it through this coffee that I was already going to have? Yes, cool. If not, it's like, I want to enjoy whatever I'm eating. So like, I will not make a protein cookie if that's not going to satisfy me as much as a regular cookie would. I would rather eat my regular cookie and have a protein shake if I need it. So yeah, I do think people have gone a little overboard with proteinifying literally every food that you can. But for people who aren't getting enough protein, it's good to have, I guess, like easy, accessible ways to get it in.
Yeah, but it's also just kind of ridiculous with some of the stuff. It's like I saw like an Instagram thing the other day where it's like high protein tiramisu. It's like, bro, if you ruin tiramisu for me,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like I'm a health and fitness coach.
I will never. Yeah,
I'm
no.
never going to make a high protein
No.
tiramisu.
And I
But
think, sorry, one more thing is
yeah,
just
go
like I
ahead.
think a lot of it is marketing too, because like if you get a
Mm.
latte, like it's gonna have probably 13 grams of protein in it because it has like a bunch of milk in it, and milk has a good amount of protein. So like, is there any extra protein in there, or are they just slapping a protein label on it now because they can?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And it's also how much sugar is in that thing too. It's like they fail to mention that. But to your question of how much protein should people be eating, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about that. And more research is coming out, and that's changed how we approach giving out protein guidelines. But as we've been saying this entire time, like nuance and individual context matters. Like, what kind of person are we talking about here? Are we talking about an everyday gen pop? Are we talking about an endurance athlete, a concurrent athlete, someone who's strength training? All those things. What's their body composition? Are they in a calorie deficit or a calorie surplus? All these things are going to change what would be an appropriate protein intake for them. But the RDA, so the recommended daily allowance, is 0.8 grams of protein per 1 kilogram body weight. And a lot of people see,
I think it's even for 1 pound on the RDA website.
oh, really?
I believe.
Then that's
It's something that's
crazy
like
low.
low. Yeah.
There's a lot of misunderstanding about the RDA where people think that the RDA means, no, I'm pretty sure it's protein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was getting it
Point,
first.
0.8 grams per 1 kilogram body
Yeah.
weight. And a lot of people perceive the RDA as like that is the gold standard of what I should aim for. When in reality, that is the minimum dose for you to not be deficient in that
Right.
thing. So the majority of the things on the RDA table, you should be consuming more. So for example, for basic health of a Gen Pop person, we're looking at 1.2 to like 1.4 grams protein per 1 kilogram body weight. For an endurance athlete, we're looking at 1.4 to 1.8 grams protein per 1 kilogram body weight. For a strength athlete, 1.4 to 2.2 grams per 1 kilogram body weight. And that's like a pretty broad range. But again, are we in a calorie deficit? How hard are we training? Are we going from off season to in season? What is their body composition? All these things are going to determine what's appropriate. But long story short, more people should probably be eating protein. And also
Fiber.
fiber too. Fiber too. Well, we're talking about protein right now. And another
I
important
felt I had
thing,
to say that.
there's no such thing as too much protein as far as health is concerned. Because people are like, oh, I don't want to have too much
Unless you have
protein.
any pre-existing.
Yeah, like I don't want to have too much protein because it's going to be bad for my kidneys or something like that. If you don't have chronic kidney disease, that's not applicable for you. And the analogy that I like to give is like if you have a broken leg, right? Squatting is not bad for your femur. But if you have a broken femur, squatting is really bad for your femur. So if you have no pre-existing kidney issues and health concerns, then there's basically no cap to how much protein you can consume.
I want to zero in on that a little bit because it's like I understand that there's a recommended like floor to the protein that you should be consuming, and that's an important distinction that you made with the RDA. But in terms of like, let's say you're eating tons of protein, you're drinking all the protein coffees, and you're having the protein tiramisu, and you're going crazy protein. Do you just like your body just doesn't metabolize it, or like what happens if you're like over consuming protein in the way that you're describing? Like there's no negative cost, but
No, it's just
is there
kind of
any
like
benefit?
No, that's the thing. I was just gonna say there's no benefit after for most people having more than 1.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. There's no additional benefit.
Well,
for some athletes, yes.
We should specify no additional benefit as far as muscle gain and muscle recovery. There could be benefits as far as it's going to make you feel fuller because protein, calorie for calorie, is the most satiating macronutrient. So calorie for calorie, protein is more filling than carbs, fat. So if you're consuming more protein, even past what is recommended for optimizing muscle gain, there could be benefits of it simply filling you up more. And so you're more satisfied.
But again, at that point, I would direct people probably to look at their fiber intake too. Because generally speaking, I would probably guess like 95% of people are not consuming enough fiber in their diet.
Yes. So with like muscle gain, muscle recovery, etc., you can kind of imagine like hitting that top protein mark is like flipping on a light switch. Like you've maximized your muscle protein synthesis. And trying to flip on a light that's already on even more just isn't going to do anything. It's like it's already on. We're already doing the thing.
Gotcha. What about creatine? A lot of people, take protein alongside creatine, especially if they're trying to build muscle mass. A lot of science, a lot of papers have been done on creatine. Do you have a take on creatine? And do you think that if you're just like an average person trying to gain muscle, you should use protein and creatine together?
Creatine is the most studied, the most researched sports supplement on the planet. Like
Creatine
by a long shot.
monohydrate specifically.
Yes, specifically monohydrate.
Yeah, we definitely suggest most people take it. There is definitely not going to be any negatives to taking it. That being said, if people don't have the basics of, nutrition and lifestyle in check, creatine is just like this little cherry on top, and it's not going to do much. So for people who are taking, their training seriously and things like that, of course, creatine can be very beneficial. Even you had mentioned protein. I don't think protein supplementation is necessary if you're able to get enough protein through your diet. That being said, it is super convenient, especially with how busy everyone's lives are. So super easy to have a protein shake in the mix. But yeah, creatine has tons of benefits.
And so many benefits that are so far beyond just performance.
Yeah, like now there's been more studies kind of showing some of the cognitive benefits from it. So even someone who isn't strength training or looking to gain muscle mass, there could be some benefits there too.
Yeah, grandma and grandpa should be taking creatine because it's really good for your brain health. There's all these studies coming out about benefits with like Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's. It's pretty wild.
Interesting. Yeah, I heard that there was some additional like cognitive benefits to creatine, but I knew that was sort of a newer thing. I wasn't totally educated on that, so that's really helpful. For some of my listeners who might feel, like at the beginning of their fitness journey and health and wellness journey, for someone who feels like they're lost or out of shape and don't know how to start, what is like base level step one? Like, what would you say, is the very first thing they should do? Is it simply just put on your shoes and get some physical activity going? Is it around the mindset stuff? Is it around health and nutrition? What would be like the really simple steps that someone just starting out could take?
I mean, like my head always goes to building more awareness of what you're currently doing and what's currently working and what's not working.
Yeah.
Because then it gives us a starting point of like, okay, if something is working well, we can kind of like capitalize on that and see what we can do from there. And then we can't change what we don't know needs changing, right? So, and so many people don't have that awareness when it comes to their day-to-day behaviors, where a lot of people are in autopilot, just kind of like doing what they always do. So especially like if you're working with us one-on-one coaching, like that is like the first few weeks of coaching is like building more awareness around your current eating habits, the situations that you tend to struggle in. Like, is it only when you're out with your friends eating out and things like that? Or do you struggle when you're at home too? Those sorts of things, because that is really the starting point of, what direction you're going to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's an Albert Einstein quote where he said, if I have an hour to solve a problem, I'm going to spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem, and I'm going to spend 5 minutes thinking about the solution. And that is like very much so, not quite that extreme, but very much so how we approach coaching. And to answer your question, I think the number one thing honestly would be get support, because it is very nuanced. Can be very complicated. It can be very overwhelming because there's so much bullshit online and so much bullshit just getting thrown in people's faces.
And I don't think people like kind of realize how their relationship with food has been shaped throughout their life, just like, with their primary caretakers and like messaging on the media and all of that. And just kind of bringing some awareness to some of their beliefs, and like, our beliefs impact the way that we act, right? So just having some awareness of that is super, super helpful.
Yeah. And if you don't have a coach, if you don't have someone in your corner and you're just wanting to start things on your own, my recommendation quite simply is focus on addition before restriction. So ask yourself, what's missing from my lifestyle? What's missing from my diet? What do I want to get more of? And focus on adding those things in rather than restricting things.
And starting with one thing. Like, too often it's like, oh, I want to make a change to health and fitness. Like, let's try everything this week. Like,
there's all or nothing mindset again.
Yeah,
right?
It's like, okay, Monday, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go for a walk and do cardio. I'm going to meal prep. It's like, well, let's start with one thing. And maybe that is literally just like adding a piece of fruit to your breakfast. And you do that for a week. and go from there, and then slowly build, because that is the challenge. Like, people start and do everything, and then as soon as one thing doesn't go as planned, it's like, oh, I suck. Like, I was never cut out for this. Like, I'm always gonna fail. So setting more like realistic and compassionate goals makes you so much more likely to be able to follow through on them.
Yeah, I've definitely been in that all or nothing mindset mode where, you do really well for like a week or two, you change everything. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm tired or I don't feel like it. So I totally get that perspective. And I think doing it in that more nuanced way and like giving yourself small achievable goals can really actually help you long term. So I really resonate with the sort of direction that you guys take your coaching in. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I'm sure it helps a lot of people. You've worked with like thousands of clients. And I wonder if there's anything that they've taught you. I'm sure you've taught them a lot of stuff, but is there anything that you've learned from working with your clients over the years?
Good question.
That's an excellent question.
Well, I would say, like, if I'm thinking way back in my coaching career, like, it makes me cringe a little bit, which I think is a good thing, right? Because like it means we've grown since we started coaching like nearly a decade ago. So I think like what I've learned, not maybe from like any specific client, but just from being in coaching for the last decade, is like everyone's life looks different. Everyone's challenges look different. And I don't know someone's life better than they do. So we really like take a collaborative approach with our clients, to make sure that they're in like the driver's seat of what changes, they are ready to make and like what works with their life. Whereas like back in the day, I would just be that coach with like suggestions, like, oh, I didn't hit my protein target or whatever. I didn't eat enough protein. I'm like, oh, try a protein shake. Try this, try that.
Try this.
And it's like,
well, we didn't even figure out what the challenge is.
Yeah, exactly. So now like having, like we're certified with health mindset, what is it? Coaching certification. So with those tools that we have taken from that course, it's like, now we're able to help people with the actual obstacles that they're struggling with. So I would say like that's kind of like my takeaway from my clients,
Yeah.
Empathizing more, like
empathizing. Well, there's tons of just small things I've learned from my clients, but
yeah.
I would agree. It's like I've worked with like over 1,200 clients, and it'd be easy for someone in my position to be like, every single time they work with a new client, they're like, I've seen this before. I've seen this before. Where it's like, I never tell myself that. Every single time I get a new client, I'm like, I explore everything with a lot of curiosity. Like, what's the actual challenge here? Because when I make those assumptions, it's like guaranteed that I'm going to miss something. So never assuming anything.
Yeah, those are great. I really resonated with what you said, Vanessa, about like cringe, like looking back on your past stuff and cringing. And I feel like that, in my work and career as well, I write a lot of scripts and stuff. So I'll go back and I'll read like a script that I wrote a few years ago that I thought was like amazing. And I'll be like, oh, this is horrible. This is terrible. So I think learning from and being able to look back and like critique yourself actually does show growth. And so I think that's a really good sort of way to look at the cringe that you can look back on.
Yes.
I wonder if there's like one thing that you want someone to take away from this conversation who's listening. What is the one, can you boil it down into one thing that you'd like, if anyone could just take this one thing away from this, I'd be happy.
Maybe like there is nothing wrong with you. Because I feel like a lot of the messaging is like, oh, if you can't do this, like you just need more willpower. You need to be more disciplined. You just don't have it in you. And I would say like there is nothing wrong with you. Like we all have unique challenges when it comes to health and fitness. And I think like there's just something like really personal about health and fitness, right? Like if we need help with accounting, we hire an accountant. If we need help with our car, we go to a mechanic. But when it comes to health and fitness, it feels like there's a bit of hesitancy, or like judgment, like self-judgment of like, I shouldn't need help for this. But it's like with the thousands of people we've worked with, like it's okay if you need help with it, right? Because it is not as simple as like, oh, I'm just going to eat like this. It's like there's so much stuff going on in our brains that impacts the way we are showing up. And yeah.
Or like what we were saying, we work with people who literally know everything that they should be doing and they're not doing it. So it's like, okay, how do we work through that? My answer, I think yours was excellent.
Thank you.
My answer is, I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna say two things. Is there should be no extremes. when it comes to your health and fitness. And it should be enjoyable. So if you're going to extremes and it's unenjoyable, there's a better way to do things.
Great. Those are two awesome takeaways. So I know you have a free resource called Stop Starting Over. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. Yes, so we have a little mini series, Stop Starting Over. It is 3 different videos that kind of break down the top 3 consistency killers that we see pop up for our clients. So kind of similar to what you were saying, Mike, like, you know, busy periods, when motivation is low,
All or nothing.
all or nothing kind of thinking. Like those are the 3 topics that we are breaking down and giving you a strategy that you can start implementing today.
Amazing. Sounds good. Well, we'll definitely check that out. I like to end the podcast by sort of asking about a time that you stepped outside your comfort zone. So I'll ask each of you if there's a time that you stepped outside of your comfort zone and how that affected you. It doesn't have to be about fitness. It could be any aspect of your life.
I mean,
We have like a bit of like a joint one.
Yeah.
But then if you have anything else, you can talk about it. But I would say like the starting the business and
2020.
moving to Spain. So 2020 as a whole. I'll give you a little recap, but in January of 2020, we were in Spain just for like 3 months. We were planning on being in Spain for 6 months and then going to Colombia and South America for 6 months and kind of deciding like, where do we want to live? Then obviously COVID happened. So we went back to Canada for a few months, was just living at my mom's place. And then once things settled down, we're like, okay, let's do this. So we just packed 2 luggages and didn't know anyone in Spain.
Well, you are skipping so much.
Sorry.
Babe. In like a 3-month period, we quit our job, we launched Evolve to Excel, we got engaged, we got married, we sold our house or sold all of our assets, and then we moved to Spain. And that was like in a several month period.
Wow.
And again, moving to Spain where we knew no one. We
didn't know the language.
We didn't know the language. We know nothing.
No.
And that was hella uncomfortable. There was a lot of uncertainties.
Yeah.
But it was very rewarding also because we couldn't be happier.
Yeah. So I think that was definitely those series of events were lots of uncomfortable things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just like navigating a life in a new country was, pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I can imagine that feels like a huge risk.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that it's paying off for you guys. That's really awesome. Well, I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for taking the time to chat with me. Let the people know who are listening if they want to, hire you for your coaching services. Where can they find you? Where can they see you on Instagram? Let us know all the stuff.
Yes. So on Instagram, we are at Evolve to Excel, all letters, no numbers. And our website is also evolvetoexcel.com. You got I don't know your personal.
At coach.greg.sut, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Just go to Evolve to Excel.
Evolve to Excel. You can find us there. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, Greg, Vanessa, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you,
Thanks
Mike.
so much for having us, Mike.